Meghan Markle is arguably the most talked about woman in the world right now. Since joining the House of Windsor, she's rarely been off the front page. She's crossed the pond to marry a prince, but despite all that pomp and ceremony, it was clearly Meghan's day, done her way.
Her wedding was the blackest wedding England has ever seen. That was all orchestrated by her.
Meghan Markle does things don't conform to the palace rules.
She has been shaking things up at the palace like no one before.
Women don't need to find a voice. They have a voice. They need to feel empowered to use it.
All of a sudden, the media went, she's being political. Standing up for women's rights is not an act of politics. It's an act of survivorship.
Meghan has refused to be the silent royal wife.
She is a boss bitch, and if she doesn't like something, she will change it.
But what's next for this unstoppable mover and shaker? A dramatic rumor has been circulating in the British press, linking Meghan to the highest political office of all.
She has her eyes set on the US presidency.
In this unprecedented TV special, we meet friends of the Duchess who have never spoken before.
You know, I think she'd be phenomenal.
Former colleagues.
She has things to do and things to accomplish.
And royal watchers.
Meghan is the embodiment of the American dream.
You want that, you could totally have that.
And in a world exclusive, we've unearthed footage that shows why Meghan Markle was always destined for the very top.
She's not a woman who ever saw herself as having limits.
One day we may see Meghan become president.
Since her marriage to Prince Harry in May 2018, Meghan Markle has been busy. There have been some changes, from the split of the Fab Four to starting her own Instagram. And in true Meghan style, she uses it to get her political message out to her huge fan base.
In April 2019, when Harry and Meghan launched the Sussex Royal account, they were world record breakers almost immediately.
The minute it came up, they had like 1 million followers instantly, like that. I mean, it just spread like wildfire.
You have this kind of job and you have an opportunity to have a profile where people are listening to what you're saying. I really, truly think you need to be saying something that's valuable.
By using social media, they have a way to communicate their way.
This is the way that modern royalty is going, speaking over the heads of the traditional media and speaking directly to their public.
For many, becoming a princess would be a fairy tale come true. Meghan had no intention of simply riding off quietly into the sunset with her Prince Charming.
There is no better time than to really continue to shine a light on women feeling empowered.
Meghan will not let becoming a royal get in the way of her real ambition.
From well-placed insiders, associates and friends that Meghan had always said she would like to be president one day.
Meghan has always been a rainmaker. She's made the weather, she's made the political weather, she's made the humanitarian weather.
Piers Morgan has added his voice to those reporting this story. Allegedly, when they met for their drink in Notting Hill all those years ago, she mentioned to him that as a child her dream was to either be a broadcaster like him or President of the United States.
As unlikely as it may seem, Meghan wouldn't be the first to bridge the gap as a former entertainer moving into politics.
When you think about the people that have been presidents.
I, Ronald Reagan, do solemnly swear.
You've had Ronald Reagan, who was an actor. You had Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was a governor. You have, a reality show person now that's the president, President Trump. Meghan could do it.
And I know over here in the U.S., the politics and TV are blurred lines. I'd rather Meghan than a Kardashian. So whatever we have to do to solidify that.
It's not unprecedented for a high-profile woman to take up a political platform. We've seen it happen with Hillary Clinton. So we know it happens.
If Meghan did ever want to run for president, there's one sacrifice that Harry would have to make, and that would be give up his life as a member of the royal family, because, of course, members of the royal family must be apolitical.
Harry would support Meghan's decision, whatever it was, if it made sense.
Meghan is the embodiment of the American dream. She grew up in a very middle-class American household in California with her eyes sort of, I guess, set on Hollywood. One day it would be part of her life. But now look at her. She's standing in the House of Windsor doing things very differently. And the world is her oyster. Her and Harry are the world's most famous couple.
It's all attainable, I didn't grow up with this kind of lifestyle or being interviewed or having fancy things. That is all very new. And so to be able to show, you want that, you could totally have that.
Presidential rumors have been persistent enough to reach royal ears, prompting Kensington Palace to deny the suggestion. But wherever she's headed next, one thing is certain. Meghan is sure to redefine the royal role. Since becoming a Duchess, she has been quietly putting together a team of female political heavyweights to support and guide her as she makes her next moves on the world stage. Meghan's recent hires include Natalie Campbell, voted one of London's Power 100 women, brought in to run the Sussex Royal Foundation. Former British Ambassador Fiona Mackwem as her new private secretary, and political powerhouse Sarah Latham.
One thing to know about the royals is they do nothing, however big or small, by accident. So when Meghan and Harry hire somebody called Sarah Latham, this is important. She was Hillary. We're talking about the eye of the political storm. Prior to that, she'd worked for the Clintons. She also worked for Barack Obama. She'd worked for John Podesta. She's known as a Democrat fixer. I mean, this is a term not used lightly. So she kind of knows the good and the bad that comes with the highest levels of political machination.
Meghan has also cultivated a friendship group of highly influential, politically active women.
So she definitely has been working power moves. And if you look at her circle of friends, that's where her power moves come in.
She's been transparent about it. She even wrote on her blog many years ago about her ability to cultivate friendships that inspire.
Meghan's friends include, obviously, Oprah, George Clooney's wife, Amal, who, by the way, is also a very powerful one.
Serena Williams, Michelle Obama. You could look at that and say, oh, well, the commonality there is women of color. No, the commonality there is strong. She is surrounding herself with strong women. And the only people who do that are strong women.
The friends she has are working very hard on behalf of equal rights and feminism and women's rights and childhood education and many, many other causes that are very near and dear to her heart.
Meghan started to develop her political voice at an astonishingly young age. Now, in a television first, former teacher Elise Fay remembers.
So this is the Little Red Schoolhouse, also known as the Hollywood Schoolhouse, where Meghan spent her time from ages 2 to 13. Let's go inside. School was important to her, learning was important, and she had a voice.
And in 1991, that voice was heard. We have recently unearthed footage of Meghan's very first political protest, aged just 10.
Anti-war protests in this country are growing. Thousands of demonstrators gathered outside the White House last night protesting the moves toward possible war.
What happened was her friend was upset.
One of her fellow pupils, a little boy, burst into tears because his elder brother was due to go to the Gulf, due to fight against Iraq, and his brother thought that he was going to die.
In order to support him, she held a protest, a Gulf War protest here at the school.
Meghan carried a sign that said, peace and harmony for all the world, and that could be a motto that she could use today.
Younger children who may not fully understand what is at stake marched and sang nonetheless, saying, war hurts everyone.
And as this extraordinary footage shows, even a 10-year-old Meghan found herself front and center at the protest.
She was 10. She was 10 when she protested the Gulf War. I would say that she had a strong sense of self already.
She was one of those children that would stand up for the underdog. She would stand up for what she believed in, and
much less stand up for other people.
Meghan's desire to change the world stayed with her throughout her student days, where she was inspired by other strong political women.
Meghan has such interesting role models. People who believed in equity, believed in speaking up, who believed that women could be powerful and change the world. If you look at her high school yearbook, you'll see that she has the quote from Eleanor Roosevelt, women are like tea bags. You don't know how strong they are until they're in hot water.
I think the fact that Meghan studied both theater and politics says a lot about her because she is passionate about both of them.
She was both enjoying the acting at school, and then she wanted to develop that at college, but she was also had that activist side, the political side, and she even went down to Buenos Aires to work in the American embassy there. She then actually was so enthused by the work in the State Department that she applied for a job, took the exam, and sadly she failed it. That propelled her more down the route of theatre. If Meghan had made different choices, we could be talking about Congresswoman MEGHAN Markle now.
Fast forward to 2019, and her political ambitions are still strong. But these days, royal protocol prevents her from coming on politics, so she has to find other, subtler ways. Most recently, when the president visited the UK, and we learned that Meghan had a long-standing history with him, dating right back to her days as a briefcase girl on Deal or No Deal. Co-star Tamika Jacobs gives us the inside scoop.
Donald Trump came to our set once, and it was very interesting. He stood at the bottom of the stage and watched us all go up the stairs. And if you've ever been on our set and you've watched us go up the stairs, quite the view. He then invited all of us to go play golf with him and gave his phone. I have his phone number in my phone right now. I have not used it. I think when Trump came to set, there was a group of girls that flocked to him and definitely wanted to meet him. And then there was another group of girls that were kind of turned off. And, you know, Meghan stayed away from Trump. And she was definitely one of the ones that kept her distance.
And that distance continued years later, with Meghan now a successful actress and Trump running for president.
We will make our country great again.
Meghan appeared on a late-night chat show, and they were talking about Trump.
Yes, of course Trump is divisive.
Dismissed him as divisive and misogynistic.
Misogynistic as Trump is, and so vocal about it.
Right. She remembers she'd seen him at first hand when she was a briefcase girl on Deal or No Deal, handing out his card, inviting some of the girls for a game of quote-unquote golf.
And to this day, Donald Trump thoroughly dislikes and can't let his hurt go. He continues to be unpleasant towards Meghan.
The Oval Office in summer 2019, when a British tabloid reporter reminded Donald Trump Meghan Markle had vowed to leave America if he was voted in. This was his response.
A lot of people moving here. So what can I say? No, I didn't know that she was nasty.
He called her nasty. We're like, what? Who? You realize who you talking about? Come on, Donald.
Just 2 days later, Trump arrived in the UK. But would Meghan be able to stand by her political views without breaking royal protocol?
Donald Trump made it to the UK on his royal visit, was met with a lot of protests, and quite tellingly, one noticeable meeting that did not take place was him and Meghan Markle.
In a highly publicized visit, that Californian kilowatt smile was nowhere to be seen.
Thank goodness Archie had just been born, because that was the greatest excuse. I'm still on maternity leave. I can't do any royal. Do you think? Yes, she can.
But just a few days after Donald Trump left, Meghan Markle was no longer on maternity leave, and she showed up for a celebration of the Queen's birthday, which the Brits like to call the trooping of the color.
She is breaking all the rules in all the right ways. I wouldn't want to say, oh, this is a man that represents the country I used to live in. This is not a representation of who Meghan is as an American.
She made her statement. She made it with her silence and her absence. That was a statement. And it was one I admired.
Meghan's political passions run deep, and none more so than equality for women, with long-held feminist values that date right back to childhood. As her well-documented early stand against sexism in advertising reminds us.
In our social studies class, one of our teachers, Mr. Ben, he wanted the students to look at commercials and find out how influences happen in marketing.
The gloves are coming off. Women are fighting greasy pots and pans with Ivory Clear.
Meghan was wondering why it had to be women washing the dishes and why they were only marketing to women. It really upset her.
No one was telling me that it was wrong, but I knew that it was wrong.
Meghan wrote to Procter & Gamble, the company who made the ad, to then First Lady Hillary Clinton, and to Nick News producer Linda Ellerby.
She said in it, I know that you meant to say for people all across America who are doing dishes, and I know that now that I've pointed the mistake out to you, you'll fix it. Well, I loved that confidence.
What follows is a story about advertising and girls, and a giant company that changed.
It's always mom does this and mom does that. I don't think it's right for kids to grow up thinking these things, that just mom does everything.
I think that Meghan Markle is a woman with gumption. She was a little girl with gumption.
In greasy pots and pans with Ivory Clear.
While Meghan's stand against sexism is widely publicized, there is also a little-known epilogue to this story.
She pointed out in a later letter to me, yes, I did find I had a voice, and yes, I used it, and yes, they changed their commercial, but if you notice, they only changed the voiceover. It now says for people all across America who are doing but it only shows women. The lesson from that she said to me was she'd learned she could change her world, but that it wasn't going to be easy.
Putting pen to paper, it really set up the trajectory for me to say, if things are wrong and there is a lack of justice and there's an inequality, then someone needs to say something. And why not me?
And saying something was exactly what Meghan did while working on the hit TV show Suits.
I think she's been unashamedly political for a long time now. So even when her star was on the rise, she was starting to build this platform for awareness, equality. For example, she's mentioned the time that she realised her character Rachel was wearing a towel in pretty much every scene, and she started to say, enough already.
She just felt like it was something she didn't want to do. She didn't want to be sexualized in that way. And so she took control of it and she empowered herself. And it shows that she stands for what she believes in.
Once again, feminism was front and center on her agenda after getting engaged to Prince Harry when she spoke at the Royal Foundation Forum in 2018.
Now, most other people who've married into the royal family, beforehand, during the courtship, they've remained pretty tight-lipped when it's come to politics. They don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to appear as if they're taking sides. Not Meghan Markle.
Only 3 months before she became the royal bride, she actually stood up once more and put her massive weight behind the Me Too, Time's Up movements.
You'll often hear people say, well, you're helping women find their voices. And I fundamentally disagree with that because women don't need to find a voice. They have a voice. They need to feel empowered to use it. And people need to be encouraged to listen.
And all of a sudden the media went, she's being political, she's being political. That's not being political, that's called being a survivor. That's called being a thinking human being and not letting people walk over you.
I think what is clear was that she wasn't going to start being quiet about things that really mattered to her just because she was also ordering her wedding gown at the same time.
Meghan might be the Duchess of Sussex now, but she's still ambitious, and one of her ambitions was to guest edit Vogue, and she actually took her courage in both hands and asked the editor if she could.
What was different about this is that we had the cover of Vogue with no pictures of Meghan on there. We had Laverne Cox, the first transgender person on the cover of Vogue. We had Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister of New Zealand. Greta Thunberg, the very controversial and young
image. It's about what you have to say.
She wanted to use her privilege as a guest editor of British Vogue to put women on the cover that we haven't seen on that magazine before.
We share a common goal. We want a future. Is that too much to ask for?
And when that issue dropped, I mean, it sold like hotcakes. Vogue had to go put it into reprints, I think, 3 times to meet the demand, and it's gone on to become their bestseller in years.
However, standing up for women has sometimes led to Meghan being pilloried in the British press. In February 2019, she visited 125,
I have an idea.
a charity supporting street sex workers.
When she went to the women's shelter and she came up with the idea, she says, let's write a message to the women as we present the food packages. And so she decided to write a message on a banana.
Fantastic. Oh, thank you.
Writing on bananas words that said, you're beautiful, people care about you, you're being thought about. Some words to say, I know it doesn't always feel as if people respect you or love you, but I want you to know that I'm thinking about you.
These messages of support were warmly received by almost everyone.
Not the UK tabloids. They thought that what she did writing on that banana was not royal. It was disgusting because she's giving it to sex workers. That's your mind.
You're in charge of the show. I'm in charge of the banana messaging.
Drama. And I love it. I don't see her doing charity work and doing it quietly. Some celebrities do that. That doesn't happen with Meghan Markle. She just gets more attention. And I like that she uses her attention for good.
She seems very calculated, which is great. And I don't think she's looking at hindsight being, oh my gosh, should I do that? No, she knew what she was doing when she did it. Don't get it twisted.
Another huge political issue for Meghan is racial equality, having personally experienced racism growing up.
When she was a little girl, she went to the Little Red House in downtown LA. Everybody thought she had white parents. And on one occasion, some of the girls said, we're going to start a white girls only club would you like to join? And Meghan just looked at them askance and said, just get out of here.
When Meghan was growing up, when she was in school, there was a box that she needed to check for her race. And she really didn't know which box to check, because at that time it wasn't about biracial. It was either you're black or either you're white.
The thing is, she couldn't just check one box. Said, in the future, if that happens again, you don't check any of those boxes, you make your own box.
Meghan shared the story some 20 years later on her blog, The Tig, along with this intimate snap, which, although casually staged, clearly captured the obvious bond she had with her father at the time.
And her father gave her guidance about understanding who she was biracially and being a global citizen. And I think that that has now made her stronger in understanding who she is as a person and representing both sides equally well.
You know, at the end of the day, I'm really just proud of who I am and where I come from.
But while she might be proud of where she came from, Meghan has recently come under fire for severing ties with her father, reportedly saying she will never let him see Archie. Some have even suggested that this is part of a pattern.
I really liked her. I just think she's a slight social climber, I'm afraid. And when I see the way... I mean, look, at her wedding, there was only one member of her family there. The rest couldn't be risked. It was, like, considered too dangerous.
I wouldn't say that she's Machiavellian or evil. I would say she's determined, ambitious, and successful.
Cynics have been quick to jump on her ability, it seems, to ditch old friends for new when it suits her. She has been accused of social climbing, of being very strategic with whom she associates.
Strategic or not, Meghan has continuously moved onwards and upwards.
I love so many things about the Meghan Markle story. I love the fact that she has a black mother. I love the fact that she's American. And I love the fact that she knows how to pick her men.
Her first husband, Trevor, was a film producer. If you want to be in movies, find you somebody that produces. Hey, I ain't mad at you, girl. Then she let him go and found her a prince. Woo!
When you have ambition and you know what you want, you can get it. She knew exactly what she wanted, and she set out for it, and now she's, you know, the Duchess of Sussex.
Meghan going from a producer to a prince is a total power move. Girl, what is your secret? She needs to write a book.
Power play or not, one thing is certain. Meghan Markle has always been fueled by her desire to help those less fortunate. Generosity towards others was stamped on her consciousness from birth. Both grandmother Jeanette and her mother Doria instilled in Meghan the importance of giving back.
The female side of the Raglan family have always been very strong. Her grandmother Jeanette raised 2 children largely on her own. Jeanette was strong-minded, strong-willed, and she passed that on to her own daughter, Doria, who in turn passed it on to Meghan.
No, my mom's amazing. My mom is, we're so different. My mom is a yoga instructor and a social worker, and she's got a nose ring and dreadlocks, and she's super free-spirited and laid back.
Meghan was young. Her mother, Doria, insisted that she saw life beyond the palm trees of Beverly Hills and Hollywood.
Doria took Meghan to Jamaica as a young child, and they visited not just the luxury resort that they were at, but also they went into the poorer parts of town. Those images really stuck with Meghan. I think having that influence from someone like Doria and even her grandmother Jeanette, those have been women that I think have really made her the woke Duchess that we see today.
20 years on, Meghan paid tribute to her mother's influence on the Tig.
In 2016, she wrote, "My mother raised me to be a global citizen with eyes open to sometimes harsh reality." And I think that's a fair summary. And it's interesting that Doria went down a similar path to Princess Diana, who insisted on showing William and Harry life beyond the palace walls.
Meghan's parents taught her the importance of having a strong social conscience.
Even on the set of Suits, charity was always front of mind for Meghan, and they would get catering in, bring in all kinds of yummy treats, but obviously being a big US TV show, everyone was on diets. And so at the end of every day, all of this stuff was thrown away. Meghan went to one of the executive producers and said, "Is there anything we can do about this?" And the answer was no. For insurance purposes, we can't give this food away. Now, Meghan wasn't happy with this. She got in touch with the catering company. I think about a month passed, and someone on set noticed that the food was being cleared up, packed off, and put in vans to go to homeless shelters, and that was where the nickname MSH for Meghan was born, which stands for Make Shit Happen, and I think that's very apt.
In 2016, Meghan took her philanthropic MSH attitude global when she visited Rwanda on a clean water initiative for World Vision.
This is the water that she's going through all this work to get. It's keeping her out of school and making her sick as well. So it's time to build some wells and make things a lot better than what we're seeing here.
Even before Meghan met Harry, she was doing a lot of humanitarian work. She would do it on breaks from Suits. She famously turned down an invitation to the BAFTAs because she had another plan. She was doing something humanitarian related at the same time. One thing I love about Meghan is she has said, I never want to be a lady who lunches. I want to be a woman who works. And she does.
These girls are able to stay in school because they aren't walking hours a day to go and get water. And this clean water source has changed the entire community. So it's really cool to see.
And so after Harry and Meghan met, she in fact continued her charitable outreach. She's working with a charity that hopes to decrease stigma around menstruation. This is not like a problem that really she feels very strongly about, that affects women and girls in like a really serious and kind of unglamorous way.
Marrying Prince Harry, an equally passionate humanitarian, has allowed Meghan to expand her charitable reach. One of her first official philanthropic acts in the UK took place when tragedy struck in West London.
The aftermath of an ongoing disaster. How could a fire spread through Grenfell Towers so quickly and with such devastating consequences?
After a catastrophic fire broke out in an apartment block, Meghan was quick to lend her support.
Meghan's first major project, before she was actually really married into the family, was that famous multicultural cookbook for the women who survived the Grenfell fire. And while she was working on that cookbook, she was making visits in secret to those women. That's something that Diana used to do. She wasn't trying to get all the fanfare all the time.
She really is very reminiscent of Princess Diana, the people's princess. I definitely feel like Diana's looking down and saying, "Go, Markle, you got this."
And just like her late mother-in-law, Meghan is using her royal platform to draw attention to humanitarian causes.
They both came to the realization that they could use their position to do good in the world. Meghan through her work initially with Suits, and Diana as the Princess of Wales. And you saw that with Diana in 1987, where she shook the hands of an AIDS patient, against, by the way, the opposition of the palace and senior courtiers. And she moved the dial on that debate. I think that's the same for Meghan. She sees her role as the Duchess of Sussex as a way of using that position to change things.
But here is a woman who has always wanted to bring about more change than the royal humanitarian role currently allows. All the signs are there that Meghan is seeking a bigger stage, including recent reports about her wanting to move the family overseas to increase her charitable reach.
People are saying that Meghan Markle will probably take a global role when it comes to being a force for foundations and charities, sort of like Angelina Jolie, definitely like Princess Diana.
Just any opportunity to help people that have less than you will change how you move in the world, without question. I think everyone should do it.
Meghan's mission to make a difference has followed her wherever she's been. At Northwestern University, she quickly became known for her philanthropy in the community-minded Kappa Kappa Gamma sorority, which counts among its alumnae U.S. senators, ambassadors, and speaking exclusively for the first time on television, friend Liz Kors.
So I first met Meghan freshman year. We were the newest members of the Kappa Kappa Gamma chapter at Northwestern. And at our sorority chapter meeting, I stood up and said, "Hey guys, I'm thinking about volunteering with this organization called Glass Slipper Project." It's an organization that was giving prom dresses to girls who know her that well. I mean, I knew her and we had hung out, but that she would sort of volunteer to do something that she knew nothing about, except that it was going to be a great thing to help people. She was all in.
Founded in 1999, the Chicago-based Glass Slipper Project provides prom dresses and accessories to girls from less privileged backgrounds and counts Oprah Winfrey among its early supporters.
Glass Slipper Project was such a good fit for Meg because she has an innate personal style, and then also she's just great with people. She's really good at listening.
And even at this early age, Meghan's determination and drive was clear to see.
I remember we had all had several girls that we had helped over the course of the day. There was one girl who came through towards the end, and we could not find a dress for her. But Meg wouldn't give up, and we started looking in all the size racks. Maybe a dress had been racked wrong. And we found a dress, and the girl put it on, and she cried, and we cried. That was really my first strong memory of Meg, and it seems like she's been helping people ever since.
In fact, the Duchess's latest project continues on this theme, only now, instead of Chicago schoolgirls, she's helping British women.
She's known for her sense of style, and today the Duchess of Sussex was using that talent to help women at SmartWorks.
I think this is a good one. Yeah, and it's a good size for her, too.
A North London charity that gets women into work after long periods of unemployment and gives them clothes to wear for interviews.
Her latest venture is almost a defining example of how she's trying to bring together her two worlds. The glamour of looking the part on suits, the glamour of being a royal bride, but also being purposeful and giving women tools to go out and be meaningful, equal citizens.
I love that. I love the blue. Feel more comfortable in, but I did love the pop of that coat.
Yeah. Meghan's very proactive. She sees a problem and her first thought is how to fix it, not just to shed light on it. I think she's a real fan of tangible results.
Even with her big bump when she was still pregnant, when people wanted to capture photographs of her, that was one of the places she chose to be photographed.
Meghan will be launching a capsule collection of clothes for the SmartWorks organisation in the UK.
She's liaised with various department stores in Britain to sell and give away a clothing line that she's been helpful in designing.
Meghan, after all, knows only too well the power of personal branding in order to get herself to the next level.
After years of working as a model and doing smaller acting jobs, Meghan Markle was hired to be on Suits, and she was making money. In fact, she was making so much money that she rebranded herself.
She held something called a Sayonara Zara party, where she got rid of all
sort of relate to who she wants to be. And she's smart about it. Personal branded image is so important.
Meghan has already perfected the art of political dressing.
One of the things that a lot of the royals do is called soft diplomacy, and that's when you go to a place and you wear something that is meaningful to the place that you're visiting. For example, when Meghan did a walkabout in Edinburgh, she wore a black watch, tartan Burberry coat. When Meghan was in New Zealand, she wore a Maori necklace, and a lot of that is just a way of saying, I'm visiting you, this trip is important, I've paid attention to things that are meaningful at this place, and I'm going to wear something that reflects that.
When she goes on humanitarian efforts, again, she's conscious about the choices that she's making with her clothing, and she also wears brands that are really ethical. Rothy's is one of her favorite brands for shoes, and we know that they're incredibly eco-friendly. So she really makes a huge statement with what she's wearing, but she does it so subtly.
What Meghan Markle wears also political, too. Supporting designers from certain countries, gay designers. Fashion can mean so much when you're a royal.
But style-conscious Meghan will have to resist her urge to be fashion-forward. As a royal, she's tended towards the edgy. As a politician, that may have to change.
The protocol is for all of the female royals to always wear pantyhose when they're outside, and not to wear short skirts. No, no, no. Meghan Markle does that all. She'll go out without pantyhose. She'll wear a skirt above the knee. She'll wear jeans.
Meghan definitely pushes the fashion envelope within the royal confines. So it's sort of this unwritten rule book of fashion that she's breaking. She took off her shoes when she went to Australia on the Bondi Beach. Apparently, you're never supposed to take off your shoes. She doesn't wear stockings a lot. Apparently, you're never supposed to go bare-legged. So there's a lot of different places where she's pushing the fashion envelope. She takes risks.
And it drives royal watchers crazy. It's funny, too, because fashion, it's a way to represent power. It's a way to represent defiance. Diana did that, and Meghan does that.
Princess Diana was one of the world's greatest style icons and the original royal rebel.
Princess Diana was a rule breaker. I mean, even though I was so young, I remember, oh my God, she's showing shoulders?
And at the 2018 British Fashion Awards, Meghan's sartorial choices rocked the royal boat once again.
Meghan showed up to give an award to Claire Way Keller of Givenchy at the British Fashion Awards, and she wore black nail polish. And certain people got in a tizzy about this and said it was unroyal.
I am such a royal watcher that I know how Queen Elizabeth likes her things done. I mean, even the littlest of things, like the color of the nail polish that Kate Middleton wears, ballet slipper.
Now, my personal thought is, this is a bunch of hooey. Meghan looked great at that event. The nail polish was totally appropriate. It was a fashion-oriented event.
I think Meghan dresses very elegantly, and I'm a fan of black nail polish.
Princess Diana's probably looking at Meghan Markle going, she's a rebel like me. She's very outspoken, but she's also trying to learn. This is a whole different journey for her.
Meghan certainly has the determination to run for office, having proved herself a force to be reckoned with. And while that might be celebrated in America, she's been attacked by the British press for what they see as her demanding reputation.
In the United States, the media, we're actually celebrating her as the Duchess. The UK media, they've been hard on her. I mean, honestly, they actually dubbed her Duchess Difficult. DD. You know, like a rapper.
I don't read anything. It's much safer that way.
She's royal now, and she's American, and she's biracial. I have a feeling that no matter what she does, it's going to be scrutinized.
I think the British, the Brits, the English people give her a hard time because she's an American. And a part of me also, you know, she's rocking the boat, and not everybody likes to have the boat rocked.
You know, there have been reports that she can't hold a nanny. She's had like 3 nannies, and then, you know, they say that she gets up at 5 a.m.
If there's a list at 5 a.m., this is how she gets things done.
No, she has things to do and things to accomplish, and it's on a timeline. It may not be your timeline, but it's a timeline that needs to be worked on and done, and she knows what she's doing.
If you're not doing your job and you're not taking this woman seriously as the Duchess, or you're disrespecting her because she is American, goodbye. Sorry, next, thank you next, right?
One person who's always stood by her is Prince Harry, who reportedly rebuked palace staff in the build-up to the wedding, telling them what Meghan wants, Meghan gets.
Harry likes that she's defiant. I think that's Harry, part of the reason he fell in love with her.
The fact that Meghan Markle is a rule breaker in the British royal family is exactly what drew her to Prince Harry, because he's always been a rule breaker as well.
Anytime a woman is confident and strong, she gets, you know, pushy, she's a bitch, she's this, she's that.
I just feel like she is a boss bitch, and if she doesn't like something, she will change it.
If you look back at how she's done her life, hey, if being pushy or whatever else you want to call it, it's been working for her.
Meghan has entered the most historic of British establishments, where royal protocol applies to every aspect of life. But this Duchess seems to be throwing out the rule book, regardless of hundreds of years of tradition. From keeping Archie's christening private, to hugging Beyoncé.
You're like, oh my gosh, she broke protocol. Hug Beyonce.
Meghan herself acknowledged the press feeling at a London film premiere in summer 2019, speaking to Pharrell Williams in a candid off-mic moment.
It isn't easy. They don't make it easy. I mean, honestly, I think there's a lot of people that just aren't accepting of her because that she is American, because she is biracial, because she's been divorced.
I think, you know, people give her a really hard time and they call her a rebel or they call her pushy, but in reality, she's a regular woman and wants to do well in life and is driven and has a mission. Rebel it up.
I would think that the backlash has probably come as a bit of a shock.
When you become a public figure in Britain, you built up, then you knock down.
But the backlash against Meghan became particularly ferocious recently when she found herself splashed across the front pages.
They recently went on a holiday to Ibiza. They used a private plane. So there's accusations of hypocrisy, talking about damage to the environment and then using a plane for $30,000 or so.
The accusations prompted celebrity friends to come out in support of her, with some even suggesting the criticisms had racist undertones. But what is in no doubt is the press had been pitting the royal brothers and their brides against one another.
As family, do you ever have disagreements about things?
Oh, yes.
And just days after Harry and Meghan took their private jet, the papers were quick to report that Will and Kate were slumming it in schedule.
Everybody's trying to compare Princess Kate and Duchess Meghan. They're 2 total different women.
Kate Middleton is very much like the queen molded the perfect princess.
Princess Kate will be queen. That's it. That's it.
Whereas Meghan Markle was and continues to be the most unlikely British royal.
I think the real problem here is that she's Duchess different. She's doing things in a way that we haven't seen a member of the royal family do before.
People all over the world are interested in the British royals.
With Meghan Markle, she's just going to have to rise above it.
The British royals are big business. Hello? What are we doing right now?
Meghan has rewritten the royal rulebook and redefined her role. She has proved she can go toe-to-toe with those already in politics.
Yes, of course Trump is divisive. She made her statement.
She can be a force for change.
And that was where the nickname MSH for Meghan was born.
While refusing to march to the beat of anyone else's drum.
She's rocking the boat, and not everybody likes to have the boat rocked.
She clearly has the backing of her royal husband.
I hope that men are part of the conversation. My husband certainly is.
Harry's only 6 and differently. Meghan, as we know, is keen to follow in those same footsteps.
The biggest question was, what happens now?
What does happen now? Is redefining the royal role, as Princess Diana did, going to be enough for Meghan? Is she going to become the ultimate global humanitarian, a la Angelina Jolie? Or will she go for the highest political office of all?
Oh my gosh. If Meghan ran for U.S. presidency, well, good for her.
Well, first of all, if Meghan was to run for president, that would be the super break of royal protocol, because the royals don't do anything politically.
I know if she ran for presidency, she would not use, I think it was her high school, make senior year sparkle, vote for Meghan Markle. I don't know if she would still use that, but it's good, it's catchy.
I think she is a seasoned communicator. She knows about the power of image. She knows how to reach across to people. She knows how to dazzle people personally and on a wider platform. So I would think she would use all her personal attributes.
So, she's got the fame, she's got the policies, she's got the image. The only question remains, would you vote for Meghan Markle?
If Meghan were to run for president of the United States,
if Meghan ran for president, would I vote for her?
you know, I think she'd be phenomenal. I think she would lead with a quiet grace and a thoughtfulness and an awareness for the rest of the world that the U.S. desperately needs.
That's what my president will do. She's got my vote.
If she was running now against Donald Trump, I would vote for her in a nanosecond.
I don't believe it's beyond the realms of possibility that she can run for president.
She would be a wonderful candidate. She would know how to handle people. She would know how to handle global leaders. I think she would know how to empower women and also include men. She would have the qualifications to run for president. She'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, I live part of the year in America, and I would vote for Meghan.
No one ever thought that Meghan Markle would be a princess, and now she's the Duchess of Sussex. So maybe she will be the president. If she sets her mind to it, she will do it.
I could see her doing it and doing a great job.
Let's see, activist, actress, princess, mother. Gosh, what is next? Changing the world. She's on her way.
Would be give up his life as a member of the royal family, because of course members of the royal family must be apolitical.
Harry would support Meghan's decision, whatever it was, if it made sense.
Meghan is the embodiment of the American dream. She grew up in a very middle-class American household in California with her eyes sort of, I guess, set on Hollywood. One day it would be part of her life. But now look at her. She's standing in the House of Windsor doing things very differently. And the world is her oyster. Her and Harry are the world's most famous couple.
It's all attainable, you know? Like, I didn't grow up with this kind of lifestyle or being interviewed or having fancy things. Like, that is all very new. And so to be able to show, like, you want that, you could totally have that.
Presidential rumors have been persistent enough to reach royal ears, prompting Kensington Palace to deny the suggestion. But wherever she's headed next, one thing is certain: Meghan is sure to redefine the royal role. Since becoming a Duchess, she has been quietly putting together a team of female political heavyweights to support and guide her as she makes her next moves on the world stage. Meghan's recent hires include Natalie Campbell, voted one of London's Power 100 women, brought in to run the Sussex Royal Foundation. Former British Ambassador Fiona Mackwem as her new private secretary, and political powerhouse Sarah Latham.
One thing to know about the royals is they do nothing, however big or small, by accident. So when Meghan and Harry hire somebody called Sarah Latham, this is important.
She was Hillary. We're talking about the eye of the political storm. Prior to that, she'd worked for the Clintons. She also worked for Barack Obama. She'd worked for John Podesta. She's known as a Democrat fixer. I mean, this is a term not used lightly. So she kind of knows the good and the bad that comes with the highest levels of political machination.
Meghan has also cultivated a friendship group of highly influential, politically active women.
So she definitely has been working power moves. And if you look at her circle of friends, that's where her power moves come in.
She's been transparent about it. She even wrote on her blog many years ago about her ability to cultivate friendships that inspire.
Meghan's friends include, obviously, Oprah, George Clooney's wife, Amal, who, by the way, is also a very powerful one.
Serena Williams, Michelle Obama. You could look at that and say, oh, well, the commonality there is women of color. No, the commonality there is strong. She is surrounding herself with strong women. And the only people who do that are strong women.
The friends she has are working very hard on behalf of equal rights and feminism and women's rights and childhood education and many, many other causes that are very near and dear to her heart.
Meghan started to develop her political voice at an astonishingly young age. Now in a television first, former teacher Elise Fay remembers.
So this is the Little Red Schoolhouse, also known as the Hollywood Schoolhouse, where Meghan spent her time from ages 2 to 13. Let's go inside. School was important to her, learning was important, and she had a voice.
And in 1991, that voice was heard. We have recently unearthed footage of Meghan's very first political protest, aged just 10.
Anti-war protests in this country are growing. Thousands of demonstrators gathered outside the White House last night protesting the moves toward possible war.
What happened was her friend was upset.
One of her fellow pupils, a little boy, burst into tears because his elder brother was due to go to the Gulf, due to fight against Iraq, and his brother thought that he was going to die.
In order to support him, she held a protest, a Gulf War protest here at the school.
Meghan carried a sign that said, peace and harmony for all the world, and that could be a motto that she could use today.
Younger children who may not fully understand what is at stake marched and sang nonetheless, saying, war hurts everyone.
And as this extraordinary footage shows, even a 10-year-old Meghan found herself front and center at the protest.
She was 10. She was 10 when she protested the Gulf War. I would say that she had a strong sense of self already.
She was one of those children that would stand up for the underdog. She would stand up for what she believed in, and
much less stand up for other people.
Meghan's desire to change the world stayed with her throughout her student days, where she was inspired by other strong political women.
Meghan has such interesting role models, people who believed in equity, believed in speaking up, who believed that women could be powerful and change the world.